right. Thank you, Arnav and Mik, for your time today. I know you guys are super busy, and I'm very, very excited to dive into our topic with you today. But before that, I just want to introduce a little bit about what we do and why it is that I'm starting this initiative. So I'm representing EOSAFL. It is a entrepreneurs organization. It's actually global. This is the South Asian version of the parent organization. And the entire concept is a networking platform for budding entrepreneurs to grow together from shared experiences, shared perspectives. And I feel like this is a great community, and I welcome anybody to apply to join, because it will not only add value to yourself but to the other people in the community as well through shared experiences. Now, given all of that, a little bit about myself. My name is Dhruv I come from Bangalore. I grew up here. I've been here my whole life. I studied in Boston University, where I majored in economics. I minored in computer science, and I've joined my family business also. So we do a little bit of real estate, we do a little bit of steel manufacturing, and primarily in automobile distribution. Now, given that, I welcome you both to introduce yourselves, and then we can explore the concept of navigating startups within family businesses. All right, how about you go first, Arnav?
Yeah, of course. Well, firstly, thank you so much, Dhruv. Thank you for having me here. It's a great initiative that you're doing here, and then also it would be so nice for me to share my 2 cents and obviously hear your thoughts and your perspectives on navigating, like life within a family business. Talking a bit more about my experience. So I'm the co-founder of Yellow Living, which is a co-living company. We have a 600-room property in Whitefield, so that's our first property. So I studied in the US. I did my bachelor's in finance. Graduated in 2023 and then directly got into this. We actually have a family business in real estate, so we do a bit of land aggregation as well as development. We had this 2-acre land in Whitefield. We thought that it would be ideal for co-living, so that's how the property was built for co-living. And then because we're the owners and the developers, we thought that it would be ideal for us to start our own separate entity called Yellow Living. So I co-founded that with my cousin, who has more than 10 years of experience within the real estate space. So we've been doing that for 2 years now. It's been a great experience so far, and looking forward to the next few years.
Nice. Okay, Mick, before you introduce yourself, I need to ask you, those are some very cool sunglasses. What's up with them? Why are you wearing them today?
So unfortunately, I have an issue.
Okay.
So I have to. Yeah.
Okay, all right. You look like one of those cool celebrities. It suits you.
Thank you so much. It's actually my mom. So shout out to my mom.
All right.
Yeah. So Dhruv, thank you for having me, and Arnav as well. I enjoy having conversations with both of y'all, and any opportunity I have conversations, I'm always in to do that. So as you guys know, I'm an electrical and mechatronic engineer. I did that in Canada, and I'm part of my family business. We are in the furniture manufacturing industry, and our primary product is Edgepan. And so any questions or anything that I can help you out with this interview, I'm happy to go ahead.
All right, let's do this. First, I'll explain what the topic is and why I chose it, and then we'll dive a little bit deeper into a nice list of questions I have for both of you to share your perspectives on.
Sure.
All right. Now, when people think of startup, they always think of bootstrapped, tech-based, AI-based, agentic AI, or just some kind of cutting-edge, OPEX light, CapEx heavy technology, something. Like people go crazy. And people think of the wildest things, as they should, because the most successful ones start from the craziest ideas. I didn't mean to sound wise there, but it just happened. Now, given all of that, I want to bring attention to one more thought process. A startup is not just an AI or tech-based thing. It's anything, in fact, for anybody. Whether it's starting a retail store, whether it's getting into the dealership space, whether it's getting into real estate, any company starting from ground up is a startup. Has the same kinds of challenges, same kinds of problems, and I want to bring attention to the same concept within a family business. So the beauty of this is Mik comes from family business background, where he's fully involved, automating, completely focused on his family business. And Arnav is starting a vertical, an operations company, kind of a startup within your family business that is real estate. So I really like this poetic word for it. I don't know what it is. I don't
Just
know.
a good cross section.
It's a good cross section. It's good duality. It is a good heaven and hell duality, but it could also be heaven and heaven or hell and hell. You never know. But
All heaven and heaven. All touching wood.
100% heaven and heaven. I was just talking for context. But given that, let me ask you a question. Why did you guys join? Why did you make that decision? Why did you make that decision? Why?
Arnav, please.
So I think ever since or even before I graduated, I was sure that I wanted to come back to the family business itself. So I wasn't sure back then, at least, that we were definitely going to do co-living, because we were still, somewhere on, we were dicey about whether we would do this or not. But then I got back, and then I thought that it would be a great space to enter co-living itself. So of course we have our real estate business. We've been doing that for so long. There's a set formula. Everything is pretty much set up, right? It's well established. But then then when we come to something like co-living, when you think of a co-living target audience, it resonates with people our age as well. And we have been in that space. We have been students. We've been, looking for accommodation. We do that kind of stuff. So that's something that really resonated with me. It's also something that just comes naturally to all of us. So I thought that it would be only ideal for me to start something where I can also bring in problems that I was facing back as a college student. So things like, just basic accommodation, looking for a community of friends. That's one of the things that's something that really fuels me even till today, is building a community within our co-living space. So we've all been there. We've been at a time where, making friends in a new city, in a new country is so difficult. It's so challenging. So finding home there it's not easy. So that's something that I wanted to create coming back here. So that's why I thought that it would make sense for me to join this co-living space. At the same time, obviously, we always have the family business. So I keep getting so many insights into it from my cousin, my parents, my uncles, everyone. So that's something that's always going to be there. So yeah.
Nice.
Very cool.
I love what you have going on here. You have your own style. All right.
Yeah, so Dhruv, to answer your question, I'm going to take you back to what you were talking about. And that's defining a startup. And the reason I'm doing that is essentially because I'm the type of person who does everything new, everything afresh. And I just find myself to be in a very blessed position.
Right.
And in this position, I have almost no choice but to do everything that I can with something that I have. Whether you want to say one in the hand is better than two in the bushes or anything else, I think it's just the most logical path for me. So let's talk about what a startup is, and let's talk about how what I'm doing is as good as a startup. So when we talk about a startup, the umbrella term, what does it comprise of? And the first thing that comes to mind is novelty. It has to be new, unique. The second thing that just hits you is that it has to scale. It has to have some sort of explosive growth. And the last thing is the risk. Every startup comes with a risk, and that's predominantly a startup. So when I have a family business and I enter a space where I can see that I have a lot of newness to bring to it, if that's a word, and if I can see that it might not be adopted, that's the risk. And if it is not adopted, there is no growth. And that was the third point about the startup that I told you. Then technically, I am doing a startup within a family business. Now, what drove me to it, or what brought me to it, is the very fact that I have it, and it works. And so,
All right. Let me ask you guys a question. What does the phrase responsibility without authority mean? Responsibility without authority.
I think I resonate with that to a certain extent, though. So I think because I'm operating a startup within a family business, so let's say that when I am obviously completely looking after the startup, then I think I have the responsibility as well as the authority. So there's obviously that initiative. But then when it comes to the family business, it's a lot more challenging. The reason being that obviously you're still responsible, because goes without saying. But the authority part, there will still be like that final authority. At least in my case, it's my father, and rightly so. I don't see it necessarily as a bad thing. Reason being, obviously, he's a lot more experienced. He knows what he's saying. He knows what he's even suggesting. There may be some arguments in terms of like, okay, we may be onto things about small things, maybe naturally. But for the most part, I think that it makes sense why he would be the final authority. So I would say that I see a mix of both because I'm able to operate both in startup as well as the family business.
Okay. How are you?
Responsibility without authority.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna twist it a little bit. My situation is a top-down, as in when I started, I was given the liberty to start at the top. That doesn't mean I abuse the top. Now that being said, let's talk about commanding versus demanding. So, say I'm implementing something, say it's a system that will work, most probably will work, but the people that need to make it work don't listen or do not respect that way forward.
Yeah.
Which, in this case scenario, if they do not want to do something and I'm going to make them do something, it is me demanding it. So, responsibility without authority. I think that one way of looking at it could be, there's so many people and they need to have some sort of belief in this new person and in proving oneself, can they command a certain way forward. The best possible outcome is implementing something that works with everybody lining up because they believe that will work. Now, the first one ever, unfortunately, because of my case scenario, was a demand versus a command. Everything thus forth was a command on demand because suddenly there was a change, suddenly something worked, suddenly people could see. Of course, there are a few of the older ones who might not be able to move as quickly in terms of change, and that's just biological. But in the most part, command versus demand, and that's what I think of when I hear what you said.
I feel like you both cover some very critical topics, if I have to be honest. Right? You can either command respect or demand respect. So you spoke about the situation of a transition from demanding to commanding, because you only prove through actions, not through words. And you navigated a very complex topic, actually. Something that I feel like most family businesses tend to struggle with is the concept of a healthy discussion between family members and business. Because it's really hard to mix family with business.
True.
How do you guys navigate that? How when you're at home? When you're at home, is it business discussions at all times? Is it family discussions at all times? If it's family and business, how do you separate a father-son relationship from a managing director / management trainee relationship? How do you, and fine, when you see your father through that lens, that he is a managing director or he's the head or the chairman of the entire group, I'm sure, or mother, but you guys have, your fathers are in that role, not your mothers. So, given that, how do you guys see him in both lenses? How does that switch happen? Where you're at home, okay, it's your dad, or then tomorrow morning it's your managing director, then again it's your dad. And when you say, obviously, and this is personal, I know, but I'd rather get personal, I'd rather be honest and ask you the question, and if you guys don't want to answer, you don't have to. But say, they shout and yell, right? Who do you take it, which is very typical in India, and it's necessary for discipline, I guess. I guess it's also culture in India. But how do you guys separate? How do you guys separate emotion from business?
So, I think initially it was a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
I would say that it still is difficult, but I'm just getting better at handling it or managing it. The reason being that it's not always easy to separate that relationship between a father as well as the managing director, as you said. Because here we have lived 21, 22 years seeing your father, as your father obviously.
Yeah.
You also know that he has been running this company successfully and all those things.
25 years.
Sorry?
25.
No, I'm saying when I started joining, I was 22 when I joined.
Oh,
So that's it.
for 22 years, I was like, chill, was.
No. No, so for my age, for like up until I joined the family business, I was like 22, 23. So till then, it was obviously a lot more challenging. But then I think, and when you said like, when you get into a disagreement, even if it's at work or if it's at home, how do you like learn to not take it seriously or like, try to differentiate it? I think there's no set answer, very honestly, because it's something, like I said, that I'm still like learning how to become better at. But again, you need to understand that like when your father or your like parent is trying to educate you or something. I mean, basically they're trying to educate you. They may shout at you, they're trying to discipline you. Ultimately, the main thing is that they want you to like, or maybe they've seen something that you haven't until now. We're also very young people, we have that, rebellious blood in us, which is always like, okay, maybe sometimes we say that, okay, our father doesn't know what he's saying or what he's doing, right? We always have that. Like, I'm sure our fathers have also done that at one point.
To their own fathers.
To their own fathers. So it's a constant cycle, right? But understanding and the reason I say that it becomes better with time is because now you start experiencing a lot more things with time. Some things where he was right about, also some things which he wasn't quite right about also. So I don't know if I'm even giving you an answer right now because frankly I don't have a set answer. But the point is, you just learn to deal with it better with time. So yeah, that's about it.
How about you, Mik? How are you, Mik?
How am I?
How about you?
Oh, how about me? Yeah. Dhruv, personal questions. But I can help answer it. So, emotions are a big part of any business per se, especially when the business correlates to life. If the business was just a game and it only meant, hey, if I lose, I go home and eat, and if I win, I go home and eat, then the emotion can be very easily suppressed or just nullified, in whatever business or whatever way or method you want to push it away. But when it comes close to home, the tides change. So if decisions directly impact you based on a daily, then the emotions are higher. In my case scenario, decisions don't directly mean am I going to eat or not. And so the emotions are not that high to start with. That being said, they are still emotions. How to work with a father through emotions is a good learning for anyone who's watching. And essentially, a very important point is that you, as a younger person, are you're very adaptable. At an older age, as we spoke about slightly earlier, biologically you're not as adaptable. The brain is not that moldable. And so it is almost your duty to also understand different perspectives and different angles of where they come with a perspective. Whether that is the right perspective or the wrong perspective, that's not the question. The question is, can you empathize with a different angle? And if you can, and if you're able to, have some sort of stoic outlook and nullify this, or understand that, hey, this is the situation and this is why the situation is happening, but I'm not going to let this come in the way of my goal or my future aspiration or my ambition, and segregate it well. I think that's the art and that's the skill. And the best way I can put that in one word would be some sort of stoic outlook. So stoicism is your word, and that's how I think the best way to handle emotion in a family business is.
I had a question follow-up to you actually. So you said you mentioned running high on emotions, and you mentioned empathizing with perspective, with another perspective.
Of course, yeah.
So when you are running high on emotion, how do you get yourself to empathize with that other perspective?
Yeah, so as I said slightly earlier, it's almost your duty to do that simply because another has a higher or lower ability to do that. It is like me and you running a race. I'm going to be able to run, no, maybe not you, me and like a 50-year-old man or 60-year-old man, or maybe even a 70-year-old man, close in my case. But if you're running a race, you're going to outperform because they are just older. Their muscles are older, they would fatigue quicker, and there's so many other reasons. So it's almost like you have to do it, period, simply because you have an ability to do it. It's your race to run. And how you want to do it, as I said, stoicism. It's like you have to really, embrace something, and then with embracing, you can have a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
That's at least how I do it.
I feel like you both covered the most beautiful message I would want to summarize from this segment of the podcast.
Dhruv, you always articulate everything that me and him say for some reason. I love it. Go on.
Stoicism with time.
With time.
With time. Developing the art of stoicism with time. So you can develop thicker skin to further criticism or advice, whilst also thinking clearly and executing clearly, I guess. And let's take that as a segue to the next topic. Okay? This is more business focused. How about you guys highlight a little bit more about your industry? I want to hear a lot more about the real estate segment, a little bit about the operations segment, what it's like in India, who your competitors are, and maybe talk about a little bit of your niche, what you feel like you can do differently. And same to you. Maybe you can talk about if it is saturated, then what is the USP that you guys have or will want to enable in the next 5 to 10 years. Please go ahead. Now I want to move a little bit more to your business. I want to segue from our previous topic to an industry-focused question. But I have 2 separate ones for you both. To you, Arnav, I want to know a little bit more about your industry. Talk about operations, talk about real estate, talk about competition, and talk about your USP and what your vision is for the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, so I'll go a little bit more detail regarding my co-living industry. So the concept of co-living is fairly simple, just to give you a bit more background about it. So we provide accommodation for people that are traveling from other parts of the country, anywhere between for durations between 3 to 6 months, 8 months, anything less than a year, essentially. So we're very similar to PGs, but we offer like more premium services, and we have this access of we give an access to a community basically. So that's where like co-living is different from PGs. Now coming to this space, it is a saturated industry. We have very established players. There's like a player called Zolo stays right now, which I think should be going public soon. We have Stanza, FF21. So we have a bunch of players in the market. The way we differentiate ourselves is that we don't want to only take up any building that's there. One of our biggest USPs is the fact that we have so much open space in our property. So the fact that it's spread across 2 acres, it's 600 room property, we have built the maximum number of rooms that we can build given the restrictions and everything, the FAR and all that. But yet we have still given a lot of open spaces. So we have like a turf court, we have a 4,000 square feet cafeteria, a lawn area where we host events and everything. So the idea is that we want to encourage people to spend most of their time outside of their rooms. The room sizes are standard, right? It's the size of any like hotel room also, maybe a bit smaller, but encouraging people to spend outside is what we aim to achieve. The reason being, we've all come out of COVID. We've all been in a situation where we have been stuck inside our rooms, our houses for such a long time, and we've craved that sense of community. We've craved that sense of network, basically. So when we give these kind of open spaces, we create these sort of collision spaces, basically, where we know people are bound to run into each other. So when they are running to each other, you're like essentially creating an environment where people will also interact with each other. But it works out well for both like extroverts, ambiverts, and even introverts, because if someone wants to always have their own space, they can always do that. But if someone is extroverted, they want to meet people, they want to interact with other people, we have that platform as well. So that's where we are. So that's exactly where our USP comes from. So any property that we acquire in the future, we want to be able to create that kind of space. So that's how we tend to differentiate ourselves from other competitors out there. So that's more in terms of co-living. And of course, you asked me also in the vision in the next 5 years at least. would be to spread our presence across Bangalore, keeping the same USP in mind, and then eventually go to other cities. Like Hyderabad is definitely a very good city, especially for co-living, because so much corporate presence is being shifted to Hyderabad, and it's also very close to Bangalore, so it becomes easy to navigate. And we want to be able to build a team that we can eventually move also to Hyderabad. So that's how we're thinking about Hyderabad. Of course, Pune is also a very good city for this particular industry. And coming to real estate, as you know, like our vision, at least in terms of development, would be focusing more on like plotted developments and villas. And like I said, we obviously do so much land aggregation. So we also tie up with developers. We have done a bunch with Satwa, Vaishnavi developers, HM. So we keep doing that. So that's part of our portfolio.
That's quite cool. I really love your USP because you are all about fostering relationships and open spaces, which I think is actually brilliant. You're not just if I say it in a philosophical way, it's not only are you providing living space, but you're fostering relationships. You're fostering space for relationships, which I think is beautiful in this world that we are in today, with everything getting more tech enabled and attention spans decreasing because so much attention has gone to social media.
Yeah.
I feel like getting out there playing cricket on the turf, that I've seen your videos, cricket on the turf, or enjoying a nice cup of coffee with some newly found friends in a cafe. I think people will love to be part of a community like that.
Arnav, I agree
so much.
Beautiful USP.
Thank you.
Co-living and you in the center of it is how I see it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Alright, Mik, this one's for you.
Please.
You have a decades-old family business, that's a fact. But your experience comes from tech. Your family business is not tech, it's manufacturing, that's fair, but you're from tech. You did mechatronic engineering. Now, given that, how do you see yourself implementing a mechatronic or AI-based system into your business over the next 5 years? And how do you feel like the overall business landscape, generally will evolve in the next 10 years in the field of tech?
So Dhruv, that was a great question. And yes, we're 36 years old and I joined a few years ago. And so the first thought that comes to my mind, what is very important for every business, not just my own, is to change. And to change in a way that the future holds fit. So there was this line, I don't know where I got it from. It might have been original for all I know. So if anyone did say it, please comment that below and it's them. But the saying goes is that to live is to grow, and to grow is to change. If something is missing from this equation, it just won't work. Now, let's talk a little bit about tech before I bring you back to my business and my systems and how I see the future of anything in general. So, AI. All the greats, everybody who has some sort of amazing AI, I'll just leave it at that, all say the same thing, and that is one winner. And the reason they say one winner is simply because if one outdoes the other, who's going to use the other? And when I say who's going to use the other, I mean, let's come back to me and then come back to this analogy. My product needs to be produced and then serviced and delivered. Now, when a customer, as far as the customer cares, they need to be serviced and delivered. I need to do that to the best of my ability. For that, I need every single system in place to be as efficient as it can get. And if I don't have something in place that means the best technology, the best cost savings, somebody's gonna outdo me in anywhere on this segment or pipeline. And if they do outdo me on anywhere in the pipeline, even if their service and delivery equals my service and delivery, if they've figured out a way to cost save better than I can cost save, or grab some sort of distribution system better than I can grab a distribution system, or have better analytics than I do, anywhere I falter on this pipeline, competition can get ahead. And the only way to outdo anybody on this pipeline is intelligence. So coming back to AI, if we talk about where AI is now versus AGI versus super intelligence, if somebody reaches super intelligence and the other one is on AGI, why would I ever use the AGI versus somebody who's using super intelligence? There's no reason for me to implement some sort of intelligence that is not just that's going to be outdone by another intelligence. So when I say there's going to be one winner in AI, I mean simply that I'm going to use the best that can exist because my intelligence needs to be the best that can exist. So a very cool and shocking realization for me when I entered the space here in India. I was exposed to many manufacturing companies. I was exposed to a lot of different businesses in general that don't really use intelligence to the power of today's, to the level which they can today, to put it simply. And that's concerning, simply because older businesses that have been around for donkey years are now suddenly being engulfed by new startups. And so it's a very concerning landscape. If you do not up your intelligence, best believe a competitor will eat through you. And loyalty and legacy, who cares? Service and delivery is key. At the end of the day, I need my computer to run. I need my computer to run better than any computer that can ever exist. Why would I care about that guy who's in computer? Like BlackBerry died, It died so immediately. Rome did fall, is all I say. And Rome is not always Rome. It has to change, ever evolve. So every system that I put into place is using the best that intelligence has to offer, whether that's analytical, I hope I said that correctly, or whatever it is. It needs to be of something that gives me utmost information, and using information best training, and using best training best prediction, and using best prediction with the best efficiency through the pipeline. I can somehow have a flawless system or flawless enterprise. And if I can do that, competition's nowhere. It's not really in my view. It's just noise. Because if they do the same thing as me, they match me. If I do better than them, I'm doing better than them. Because I'm doing the best that I can in the sphere of intelligence. And so I'm confident in the growing industry. You guys can Google it. And I'm confident that if I put the most intelligent systems in play with the best that tech has to offer, I'm winning hands down.
Alright, thank you so much, Mik, for such an insightful and technical answer. I feel like it's going to get our business and our AI background-based viewers so much perspective and so much, thought-provoking clarity in their own business. If I have to summarize what you said, and you can fully correct me, you're saying either implement the most advanced AI tech or software or refined AI processes into your business, but critically necessary, or you will have massive problems, or you will basically die in the business. You're saying refine or become
obsolete. Essentially, market in India is huge, so I wouldn't say you'll become obsolete overnight. It will take quite some time. But in the sphere or theory, on a perfect world of one winner, 100%. If I had the production capability to take over the entire country, and I can do it better than anybody else, then 100% and any person at the end will choose me over any competitor, because I have an ability to do it better than them. In all spheres, whether that's quality of a product, whether that's service delivery, whether that's production capacity, whether that's whatever you want to call it. And so yeah, Dhruv, I would say that you summed it up pretty well.
All right. Now, let me transition to a little more light-hearted topic as we approach the end of the podcast. And also, I know you guys also have to head. It's getting late. I'm making it sound very real time. But now, this is a funny one. And when I use the word funny, it's because I'm going to ask you this. This question will have the word funny. Okay. Walk me through the funniest situation you've encountered while running your business. The funniest. Something that you could not laugh, you still think about to this day, and you laugh around with the people in your family.
That's a tough one because I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, same. We're in the same boat.
Yeah,
sinking.
I don't know how. I can tell you a lot of fun things, but funny is very different.
Yeah, funny is a little because it's like.
Because I don't know if I've really encountered a funny situation running a business, because obviously there's so much like firefighting at times, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I know there's certainly nothing particularly funny about it. I got to give that one more thought.
Sure, I will try to take it before you, Arnav, but then we are coming back to you. Dhruv, what's funny is the way I dress. Yeah, I wear shorts sometimes, and then everyone's just looking at me in a bank meeting wearing suits, and they're just like, what is this guy doing? And
that's quite funny.
Yeah, it is. I don't think I'm at the level where I can wear shorts, but to be very honest with you, I just don't.
Yeah, you like dressing what makes you feel most comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even about comfort. I think it's just about look, in the startup sphere, the space, it's new, it's unique, it's different, it's almost disruptive. Yet anything and everything that I'm doing is not disruptive, but it's literally helping in every way possible. In a disruptive way, I guess, because out with the old and in with the new. But wearing shorts, for me, at least that's the one C-suite thing that I can, take away from this experience. Everything else feels a little, as Arnav said, firefighting. I think it's funny the way I dress. I'm sure everyone likes it. Sure. Arnav, please. Take it over.
So I still don't have anything funny per se to say.
No.
I mean, I'll give a very generic, basic answer, but I will say that it's fun to run your own business. Obviously, very privileged to be able to do so. Obviously, not everyone has that opportunity. What is fun about that is the fact that you're working on your own product. You're doing this is something that you have created. See, the very prospect of that is very exciting. You wake up every day. You have different challenges. Sometimes you have the same challenge again and again, which you're trying to figure out. But the reason it makes it fun is because it's your problem to solve. It's your challenge that you are, trying to overcome. So that's how I like to see it. It also motivates you, pushes you to, wake up every day and, go and try to do something which is actually directly going to be meaningful to you. So because you're working on something that's on your own.
Very true.
So
I'm in complete phase with everything you said. I think one of the best feelings in the world is seeing something that you implement and run for the better.
Exactly.
And, we're very blessed, very privileged to be in the positions that we are. And it's almost unjust not to take the ball and run with it.
Correct.
To close up and end this podcast, I would want to ask you the final question, and you can only answer in one word. Your entire journey in your current experience as a family business, startup within family business, how would you describe your experience? One word. And I swear, when I say one word, I mean one word. Just one word.
So one word, I think going off of what I said earlier, I would say gratitude. Reason being that, again, obviously very privileged to be to be able to start something of your own and also within the family business itself. Because we know so many people who may not also have the opportunity, who are ambitious and they don't have the necessary resources or just the platform to be able to do that. So to be able to do that, we obviously have to be extremely grateful for this. And even if I think back 2.5 years back, it would have been so much more difficult for me to start my own co-living company if we didn't have the platform that my father created in terms of the just building that kind of a property. So all I have done is basically just accelerated things. I've been basically handed that silver spoon, so I don't have anything in admitting that for sure. So yeah, I think gratitude is one way I would definitely sum up my entire experience up until this point.
Over you, man.
I liked what Arnav said. Unfortunately, it's only one word. So in the spirit of an ever-changing startup world, I would say pre-launch. I don't know if that's a hyphenated word, but it should be acceptable. But I would say pre-launch, simply because tomorrow I'll probably have to refine again, and day after I'll have to refine again, and it'll keep going that way until forever. Maybe today it's one exact product and one exact division. Tomorrow it might be quite a few more, and so it's startup within this big picture company. And so pre-launch is always going to be my answer.
Yes. Yeah. So gratitude and pre-launch. Well, if I have to answer it, I'll say introspective. Because this entire journey has made me one step closer to my true passion. Has actually unlocked multiple things in my head in terms of also what I need to do, what I'm capable of, how much more capable I need to make myself with ever-changing times. And I'm looking forward to everything that the world has to offer in the business now. Alright, with that, thank you guys so much for your time. I had a blast. I had the best time having this conversation with you. I learned a lot, and I'm really looking forward to everything the world has to offer. Maybe we can do business in the future. Again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dhruv. Thank you.
Arnav.
Thank you, Mik.